As more Nigerians speak up on the federal government's approach to tackling the security situation in the southeast, this morning we'll still be staying on the escalating tensions in the geopolitical zone. Whereas the authorities have blamed the killings and wanton destruction of public property in the region on militant wings of the proscribed secessionist group, the Indigenous People of Biafra, IPOB. Many observers are pointing to the clamor for Igbo presidency in 2023 as the root cause of the crisis. But while the element of criminality cannot be ruled out, what is not in doubt is that the politics of imbalance, perceived marginalization, and rising poverty and unemployment have all combined in making indigents of the Southeast feel like outcasts in their own country. As we speak, residents of the zone are crying out over indiscriminate killings and arrests of their relatives by the security forces deployed in the region. All these raise the question as to if the approach being used by the federal government and its security agencies is the right one. To address this and a lot more, we'll be joined on the show now from our Abuja studio by the immediate past secretary to the state government of Imo State, Honorable Uche Onyeagocha. Good morning, Honorable. Welcome to the program.
Good morning.
Good morning, Honorable Onyeagocha. Thank you for joining us. Well, two things stood out in Tundun's introduction. The fact that the crisis in Imo State, the violence, the mindless killings, attack on police headquarters about 3 times now, attack on the prison in Owerri and the release of over 1,800 inmates, the murder of individuals. There was one, Ugachuku, who was murdered, who had returned from Germany. There's also the killing of Ahmed Gulak, who had visited the state. Now, she made a point about, could this have anything to do with Igbo presidency in 2023, the agitation for Igbo presidency? Are there some agents provocateurs who are, just making the Southeast so ungovernable? Or does it have anything to do, in your view, with local politics? Because, the police, the Inspector General of Police at a point said that some of those people behind it are linked to IPOB and the Eastern Security Network. What do you think? Is this a case of politics we're dealing with?
Let me start by condemning the killing of any citizen of Nigeria in Imo State, be him a police officer, a military personnel, a correctional officer, or any ordinary citizen for that matter. I condemn it in every ramification, and we all should do. Police officers are relatives, our family members, so nobody will support the killing of his family members, whether they are in military or police uniform. I also condemn the attack on the Correctional Prison Services Office and the release of the people. But at the same time, I believe strongly that what is happening in Imo State is a case of crisis generated by both bad governance from the national and at the state level. I say this with every sense of responsibility. In 2015, I was a very active member of the APC. I was a senatorial candidate for APC when President Buhari ran for president in 2015. I was a fanatic of Buhari. And I am saying that I do not think that the reason we gave him all that support in 2015 was to have a situation where we will be excluded from his government in the spirit of his so-called 95% and the 5%. One expected that the president should have been statesman enough to appreciate that every section of the country worked very hard to ensure that he got elected as president and embrace all. But unfortunately, Mr. President failed in that direction. I was also a member of the Action Congress and Action Congress of Nigeria. I traveled across the length and breadth of this country with Lai Mohammed when we campaigned against PDP vigorously. We risked our lives, And today, when I listen to Lai Mohammed, he is sounding like the ministers of information under the PDP administration who we criticized. So the whole situation you find happening in Imo State is a failure of leadership at the national level and a failure of leadership at the state level. Whether we like it or not, there is a total breakdown of leadership in Imo State. We must learn to consult. We must learn to speak to the people. There is so much injustice in the land. There is so much poverty. There are agitations for self-determination. And there is a deliberate decision to refuse to respect rule of law in Nigeria, both at the state and at the federal level. A combination of all of this is what has brought Imo State to the sorry state we have found it today.
I'd like to take you back a little bit for a moment here. You mentioned a sense of exclusion. Now, that sense of exclusion is often referred to, but for the benefit of our viewers who have heard this reference but are not actually sure of concrete examples, I'd like you to explore that. And that reference that you also made about the 95% and the 5%, I imagine is a reference to that infamous quote from President Buhari saying that he will serve those who voted for him a lot more than those who did not. That was in the 2015 elections. But in the 2019 elections, he did make considerable inroads into the Southeast and actually doubled the number of votes from the 2015 elections, even with Peter Obi on the ballot of PDP. And yet, the Southeast remains underserved. I'd like you to give concrete examples of what that looks like to you.
Well, on a very simple and straightforward analysis, you can see the first citizen in the country is Mr. President. The number 2 is the Vice President. The number 3 is the Senate President. Number 4 is the Speaker. Number 5 is the CJN. None of this is an Igbo man. Now, you go to the other level. In which area has Mr. President ever bothered to try to show inclusiveness in his government? These are what has fueled the agitation for self-determination. Now, on the other hand, the APC, of which I was a member up till the time I left, had promised restructuring, has promised that they will deal with all these issues. But suddenly, they don't have the courage to even discuss it. What is the difficulty in getting people to sit down and discuss it? What does it take for Mr. President to go down to Enugu and have a meeting with genuine Igbo leaders? I believe that part of the way forward is that we must begin to talk to one another as equals. There is this arrogance in government for people to think, well, because you're holding the power today, you can afford to bully anybody. But power is transient. Tomorrow, it's no longer be in your control. Each time I argue for people to sit down and talk, a lot of people quarrel with it. But let me ask you, is there any way the Buhari government can be as powerful as the United States government? But today, the US government is discussing with the Taliban. The Taliban has killed more US soldiers than you can talk about. Yet, the US is still talking with the Taliban. If the US can speak with the Taliban, the Nigerian government, led by President Buhari, must come down and discuss with the people. Senator Hope Uzodinma must stop threatening, come down and discuss with the people. President Buhari, Yar'Adua did it. President Obasanjo did it. When they had challenges of this nature coming from the Niger Delta militants, they came down from the high horse as presidents of Nigeria and moved in to invite the genuine leaders who had access to these people and started speaking with them. And at the end of the day, they were able to achieve reasonable peace to allow them space to govern the people. If you listen to the news regularly, you will notice the opinion being expressed by Senator Onyeagocha of Sokoto State, where he was lambasting and lampooning southeastern leaders. And what is his quarrel? That a truck that lost control in Akwata Junction killed standbys and wounded many. And the people, out of anger, set the truck with the cows inside them ablaze. Senator Onyeagocha, without bothering to investigate, took it for granted that any truck carrying cows belonged to people from the north. Even when this particular truck belonged to Mr. Cosmos Chibuike of Umunachi in Dunukofia local government area of Anambra State, Onyeagocha was seeing it as a reason why Igbo people should be abused and castigated, and he started assaulting every leader. Even when the cow and the truck belonged to an Igbo man, an Anambra man. I would therefore call for caution, because that is the only way to go. Let no group or let no people take it for granted that they can bully any other person to total submission. It is not as simple as we think. The Nigerian Constitution, and I'm sure so many people have never bothered to read through it, recognizes the right to self-determination. Anybody who has doubt about it should go and read the African Charter on People's and Humans' Rights, which has been domesticated in Nigeria as part of the law of Nigeria. And having been so domesticated, it applies here whole and entire. That law was inherited from the United Nations Charter and adopted by the African Union, adopted as part of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. So there is a lot of ignorance pervading our system. And I think we have not noted the fact that our laws have not been substantially explored for the purpose of people's right to agitate for whatever is of concern to them.
I mean, thank you so much, Honorable, for the voice of reason, much needed. And thank you for that clarity, because when we have tension in the air, it's always a peak period for fake news. And thank you for that clarity as regards, that truck getting burnt. And we now know better as regards that. But I want to talk about the locality of this problem. A lot of people will ask, why Imo? I'll ask, does this have anything to do with the Supreme Court judgments? Because this same Imo state, under Emeka Ihedioha, was peaceful. Every part was in peace and harmony. Nobody fought anybody. We had peace all through the streets of Imo. And all of a sudden, then the Supreme Court ruling came to place. And since then, it's been political brickbats. I mean, we can't say we didn't see on TV the back and forth between even the former governor, for instance, before Ihedioha, and the incumbent governor. Then it's been a slippery slope since then. And most of the violence is pretty much in Imo State. So why Imo? I keep asking. And does it really have anything to do with the Supreme Court ruling? Did you hear me, sir? Okay, you couldn't hear me. If you can... Okay, I'm just asking. I say, why Imo? Does this happening in Imo have anything to do with the Supreme Court ruling? A lot have argued that under Ihedioha, things moved smoothly. But all of a sudden, the Supreme Court ruling, and Imo has gone, turned into a war zone. Why Imo? Is there local politics at play here? Okay, I think we'll go on a quick break. We'll come back. welcome back. Still the morning show right here on the Rising News channel. We've got Secretary to the immediate past Secretary to the State Government of Imo State, Honorable Onyeagocha. So like I was asking, I said, why now and why Imo? Does it have anything to do with the local politics? Does it have anything to do with the Supreme Court ruling? A lot of people have argued that under Onyeagocha, everything went smoothly. We didn't have any fight. It was peaceful. I mean, a lot of people will go on vacation in Imo. But all of a sudden, the Supreme Court ruling and everything has gone through this slippery slope. Imo is in an abyss now that a lot of people pray to get out of quickly. Is there anything about this local politics that we don't know?
Well, I have answered you already. I say it's a combination of all the factors you have mentioned, plus exclusion at the center.
I mean, expatiate on it. What do you mean combination of all the factors? Break it down for me. That's quite nebulous, sir. Well,
there's nothing to break down. I say it's a case of injustice.
Injustice
that people are reacting to. I do not know which particular one of them that is leading to the agitation, but I know the people have been angry and they have been protesting for a long time. If you notice, the pensioners have been protesting since we left office. The workers have been protesting. There have been loads and loads of protests. And when a lot of these peaceful protests are quelled violently or without proper response, people may react in other ways that may not be civil.
Who are the we? When you say since we left office, who are the we here? Which administration are we talking of?
No, well, if I say we, I say since the Onyeagocha administration was kicked out by the Supreme Court, there have been several protests by several groups in the state. Pensioners, workers, and members of the civil society in all hues and cries.
Well, see, let's rephrase the question this way. Now, the governor, Opus Odimma, has been on record saying that certain elements within the ruling APC, the All Progressives Congress, are behind the spate of insecurity in the state. In addition to aggrieved members of the People's Democratic Party. In other words, he blames the opposition. He also blames people within his own party. What's your reaction to that narrative? Because he says that, look, there are some political leaders who are promoting the violence within the state. And you have been in that state. You've been secretary to the state government. Do you have any information in this regard?
Not at all, but I want to say categorically that the PDP as an opposition political party in Imo State is not in any way involved in the violence in Imo State. Rather, you may say that, for example, the case of Gulag, I have said without doubt that this is APC on APC violence. Because we know the history of how it all culminated. One, Gulag was sent to Imo State to come and conduct the governorship primaries. We all have stories of how he took off with the result sheet, went to Abuja in collusion with Oshomole, they concocted their result. The rest of it is history. They have their issues among themselves. What has PDP got to do with it? What is our interest if APC are fighting against APC in Imo State? Do you know to what extent they can go? Because they are the ones holding power, and they are holding the reins of power. So it is their problem, it's their call. But our pain is that they are allowing it to affect the people of Imo State. They are allowing it to affect the Owerri residents, which is not fair. And then let us also face it. His Excellency, the governor, is from Oru East local government area. A lot of the crises he has started from his federal constituency, which is made up of Oru East, Oru West, and Olu local government. The first time he invited and Osu local government. The first time he invited the military to come, He invited them to come to Osun local government, which is his federal constituency. The people who were killed in the first instance were from Oru East. So it is their issues. PDP has nothing to do with it. We have nothing to do with any of these militant bandit groups. And we will not have anything to do with it. So he should focus, talk less, and try to solve his problems. I believe if he sits down and makes serious effort to access the crisis in the state which he is presently in charge of, honestly and sincerely, he might perhaps start the process of resolving the problems.
But is it true, Honorable?
Blame game is not a solution. He is in charge.
But is it true, Honorable Onyeagocha, that in Imo State today, for anybody to get involved in the politics in that state, you need to have your small army of able-bodied men who will be offering you protection. Do you have something like that small army that offers you protection?
Not that I know of in PDP, but perhaps maybe at their own level in APC. Maybe between the Rochas group, the Ararume group, and then Senator Hope Ododema's group. But none of that is happening in PDP, I can tell you for certain.
Right, Honorable. What is your reaction to the resignation of the chairman of the Ebube Agu, retired Major General Umahi? And he wrote this letter claiming that he has received no funding and didn't even get an office. What does that tell you about the fight against insecurity in the Southeast?
Well, once again, that shows the failure of APC in the Southeast to put its acts together. Because the chairman of the Southeast Governors Forum is David Umahi, who is an APC member today. And the next strongest person in that area is Senator Hope Uzodinma, who is an APC member. And the Obi Umahi, who resigned, is a brother to the governor of Ebonyi State, who is an APC member. If no other persons at least showed interest in funding the Ibubago, it should not include Senator Hope Uzodinma and Governor Umahi. So the big question I'm asking, why are these two APC governors refusing to fund their Ebubagu movement, even when it is headed by Governor Umahi's brother, when Governor Umahi is an APC member? So when you look at it in all ramifications, you will see that it's a failure of leadership and governance on the part of APC. There has been so much criticism at the national where people are saying that Igbo leaders are refusing to speak up. Let the Igbo leaders in APC at the national speak up. Obonayono, Chris Ngige, the foreign affairs minister, Emeka Wajuba. If they are genuinely part of this government, they should be the first speaking out loud on it. But they are not genuinely part of this government at the center.
Okay, let's still hop on that Imo politics. You talked about the RMF faction, the Okorocha faction, the Hope Uzodinma faction in the APC. You said the APC should look inwards as regards who killed Gulak. I want to go one step further. What is it that your governor, Ihedioha, did do during his time that Hope Uzodinma can learn from? Because you see, all these factions were evident there while Ihedioha was there. But we had peace in the states because we want peace. So what is it that Ihedioha did do that we can all learn from in all of this, despite the warring different factions, the Ararume and Rochas and other factions?
For a start, Ihedioha provided a listening ear to every section of the state. For a start, Onyeagocha's government was inclusive and allowed participation of people even in the opposition political parties that fought against him. Onyeagocha's government was open and broad-minded, and you could get your message across to Onyeagocha no matter how late it is in the day. And I want to give you a practical example. With the approval and permission of Onyeagocha, when there was to be a big crisis in Egbema local government, between herdsmen and the Egbema community, we had an urgent security meeting with all the military leaders and the security agencies in the state, inclusive of the Miyetti Allah leadership, the herdsmen leadership, and Egbema community leaders. The meeting took place in my office. When we finished that, we went through some other informal means and had deep-rooted meetings. I stayed in my office till 2:30 a.m., monitoring and directing activities in Egbema. With Fulani herdsmen in my office, Miyetti Allah leaders can testify to this. They were in my office. They even later came to my house. We said, we don't need this crisis. We're a new regime. We kept talking to each group. Leadership is about consolidation. I have said it before. Leadership is also about gathering intelligence. Leadership is not about threatening. You will arrest Onyeagocha, you will detain Onyeagocha, you get SSS to bully anybody. It doesn't solve your problem. If leadership is about bullying, America would have had their way in everything. This arrogance of poverty of power must stop. Calm down from your high horse. Get back to the people. Talk to them. Even if they are people you do not like their faces. When I was a lawyer to the Niger Delta militants, I was not a member of PDP. I was actually a member of opposition. And it did not stop President Yar'Adua from inviting me over. And I helped to bring the militants to Abuja. And we were flown in a presidential jet. Imagine the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria at that time, Yar'Adua, with all the powers he had, making a presidential jet available for me as a lawyer and some leaders of the Niger Delta militants to come to Abuja for discussion. We were lodged in the presidential suite in the Hilton. There's nothing stopping him from arresting all of us, shooting all of us, and killing off everybody. But he didn't do it. So all this talk about I will crush everybody, I'll destroy everybody, it doesn't help in governance. Hope Uzodimma should come down and meet with genuine leaders of the people. Mr. President Muhammad Buhari must come down and meet with the genuine leaders of the people and discuss the real issues. We are not talking about political contractors. There are many political contractors. They won't even allow you to discuss. They will be the first to arrive. But if you want to talk to genuine people, genuine leaders of the people, you can engage them. But I also want to suggest there is nothing stopping the genuine leaders of the people from meeting. I have read the statement of the Northern Elders Forum, signed by Hakim Baba Ahmed. There is nothing stopping Northern Elders Forum, Arewa Consultative Forum, Ohaneze Ndị Igbo, Afenifere, the leaders of the different ethnic groups in Nigeria, from sitting down together and begin the process of talking, if the government is refusing to organize them. We know that there is so much injustice in our system, and that the government is showing serious sensitivity to it. And that is why there is crisis all over the country. It is not a Southeast thing. Southeast is just a yesterday matter. No 3 days passes in Nigeria without at least close to 100 people being killed. When a government is no longer able to protect lives and property of their citizenship, of their citizens, then definitely that government has a challenge. And they cannot continue to pretend that it is very much in charge.
Okay, Senator Onyeagocha.
So I believe that the leadership can talk with the citizens.
Well, Honorable, yes, you know, I'm sure not many people will argue with you on that score. But earlier on, you referred to Senator Aliyu Wamako and the statement that he issued, where he referred to a truckload of cows set ablaze somewhere in Anambra State. But in that statement, he also talked about a truckload of onions being taken from the north to the south, to the southeast, and that also was set ablaze. You recall that the National Association of Union Sellers, in fact, issued a press statement saying that they will no longer bring truckloads of onions to the south anymore. He also talked about a truckload of gallons of palm oil being taken from the east to the north. That was also intercepted and also destroyed. So, but the main point that I think Senator Aliyu Wamako was making is that leaders in the southeast, that they are complicit in the crisis in the southeast, and that they are turning deaf ear to the attacks on people from the north. And then the coalition of northern groups, the Northern Elders Forum that you have referred to, they've cast Igbos as, you know, the people creating problems in Nigeria. And they have appealed to the president that, look, if the Igbos want to leave Nigeria, they should be allowed to go. And in that statement by the Northern Elders Forum, the impression is given that Igbo leaders have reached a consensus that they can secede. Okay, where does this leave the clamor for Igbo presidency? Because I think, you know, the narrative that is being pushed by every major group in the north is that, look, are these the people who want Nigerian presidency in 2023? Is it not better to just let them go? What do you say to all of this?
Well, for the people in the north who are making that clamor, I'll take them back to the period of the June 12 struggle, of which I was a very active member. The Yorubas were heavily agitated. They were very angry. And they were all cursing and swearing, protesting. We were all over the world. Did it stop Nigeria from finding an Obasanjo to become president of Nigeria? There has never been any genuine intention for the presidency of Nigeria to go to the southeast. It is all blackmail, intimidation. But we have gone past that stage. Nobody is available to be intimidated or bullied anymore in this country. You may also have followed the statement made by Senator Bukachua, where he said that Igbo people deserve to die. He's entitled to his right to freedom of expression, but how is he going to enforce the dying wish which he desired for Igbo people? Unless he has to come and exterminate them, and exterminating Igbo people will amount to genocide. The world will not allow him to do so. So I insist, stop casting aspersion on Igbo leaders for saying nothing. Even when they say something, you will not want to listen to them. The ones with you in APC, have you carried them along? Are they feeling that they are genuine partners in the APC government? The share of the cake you have given to them, is it their genuine share? When people are excluded and you give them peanuts, and you expect that you are carrying them along, and at such a time as this, you suddenly expect them to perform magic. Based on what? And when you make that assertion, I ask you, has Bola Ahmed Tinubu been speaking out since the Oduduwa Republic agitation started in the southwest? Why has Tinubu suddenly lost his voice? Who has been attacking Tinubu for refusing to express himself on the matter? So I think we have to be honest to ourselves. The attitude of the leadership of APC to the Igbo people in Nigeria, the exclusion attitude, the attitude of bullying and subjugation, is not acceptable to the Igbo people. And the Igbo people are reacting to it.
Well, food for thought. Honorable Onyeagocha, we thank you very much for joining us on the morning show. Thank you. I hope those you directed your statements to are listening and watching and will reflect on some of the points you have raised. Thank you very much indeed for joining us.